we see the mouth as the entrance to your whole gut system. And if you take toxins and chemicals like fluoride, just nuking your oral microbiome on a daily basis.
Dr. Dominik Nischwitz is known as the world's leading biological dentist and one of the first ceramic implant specialists. He is the vice president of the International Society for Metal-Free Implantology, whose mission is to help as many people as possible to experience optimal oral health without the use of yesteryear metal-based treatments. Dr. Dom is an international speaker and author of It's All in Your Mouth, with the goal of establishing biological dentistry as the new standard for health optimization protocols for all health practitioners and dentists alike, using the term health starts in your mouth. Dr. Dom has exclusively used ceramic implants since 2013, placing more than 5,000 to date, and is considered a pioneer in the field of biological and holistic dentistry. Dr. Dom trains traditional dentists and believes that optimal health starts in the mouth.
If you have periodontitis, you are more prone to diabetes, and vice versa. If you have high diabetes on insulin resistance, you might have leaky gum. If there's any chronic inflammation in your body, this will definitely.
Hi, my name is Chris Burris. I'm a longevity expert and the chief scientist at a lab focused on a longevity molecule. My primary focus is to help people live longer and better lives with science. Make sure to subscribe and share so you and your friends can live longer and better. Well, actually, so you and your friends can live beyond the norms.
Hi, and welcome to the next talk of the Uncovering the Secrets of Longevity Live Beyond the Norms Health Summit. The link between dental health and longevity is becoming more and more clear. Dental health's impact on cellular senescence, genomic instability, and inflammation is already well documented. Our next speaker is about to blow your mind as he talks about dental health. You probably didn't expect me to say something like that, blowing your mind about dental health. Dr. Dominik Nischwitz, we're going to call him Dr. Dom, is known as the world's leading biological dentist and one of the first ceramic implant specialists. He is the vice president of the International Society for Metal-Free Implantology, whose mission is to help as many people as possible to experience optimal oral health without the use of yesteryear metal-based treatments. Dr. Dom is an international speaker and author of It's All in Your Mouth, with the goal of establishing biological dentistry as the new standard for health optimization protocols for all health practitioners and dentists alike. I think that's really important. All health practitioners and dentists alike, using the term health starts in your mouth. Certainly where the food starts, right? Dr. Dom has exclusively used ceramic implants since 2013, placing more than 5,000 to date, and is considered a pioneer in the field of biological and holistic dentistry. His other passions include functional medicine, holistic nutrition, and competitive sports. Dr. Dom trains traditional dentists in proper biological dentistry practices and believes that optimal health starts in the mouth. Not surprising. Dr. Dom, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Before we get into your expertise, tell us a little bit about your life. And then why dentistry to begin with?
So why dentistry to begin with? This is, I would say that was, in retrospect, it's probably providence because I never wanted to become a dentist. My dad is actually a dentist, and the only thing I wanted to do is skateboard. So I wanted to become a professional skater when I was in my teens. So I couldn't imagine that working would be something for me. But then as a civil servant, we had to do an intern in the clinic, and they put me in dental clinic. So I was there sitting and with the professor, and I believe that he thought I was a student. I didn't realize it at all. And he just let me pull teeth with all his patients that were in full anesthesia. Yeah, because like if you're a student in 8th semester, this is what you do. But I wasn't a student. I was just a civil servant. And then I was pulling teeth, had much of fun of it. And I realized, okay, I'm very good with my hands and artistic anyways. So I just applied to dental school, and yeah, the rest is history. Then I studied dentistry, knowing nothing about it besides that I basically like manual things, and didn't know that there was chemistry involved, biochemistry, physics, all the things I didn't enjoy in school, but actually later liked. And yeah, studied my way without any purpose, just liking the stuff. And at the same time, I had health issues. And I wanted to become healthy again personally. So I looked into nutrition, into supplements, into fitness, bodybuilding, all these things, and basically learned all that stuff parallel to my studies. But after university, when I graduated, I wanted to become an oral surgeon straight away. I had a great residency, and my boss back then, he also was an old school dentist placing amalgam fillings. That amalgam fillings, you guys who don't know them, those are the silver looking fillings that are actually containing 50% of mercury. And I personally thought, as an artist, no, this is nothing I can put in the mouth of my patients. It looks just nasty. I didn't realize that it's also super toxic. But because I told my boss I won't do it, I had to look into it. And this is when the whole realm of functional medicine opened up to me. Like I found Dr. Dietrich Klingel and a couple of other mentors who were already preaching that there are heavy metals involved, that we need to detox them. Like Chris Shade was talking about it. And yeah, so everything I learned from me when it comes to health optimization, the term you would call it nowadays, 20 years later, I was finally able to see, oh, wow, I can use this with my patients. And I realized I'm not going to be just the craftsman. I need to find something to help patients really getting healthy. This is when it all came together. Obviously, it took a couple of more years, but now we're here. And 15 years later, it's a full concept biodentistry, which is the overlap of high-tech dentistry with, let's say, functional medicine and health optimization / biohacking. And our goal is obviously optimal health, which I believe starts in the mouth.
So that's a great story. So you're basically a skater, not interested in really any interesting other than skating. You end up in a civil service job, and the dentist doctor thinks you're an 8th year student and hands you some, I'll call them pliers. There's probably a dental definition of them. And you start pulling. Do you think that that doctor dentist ever figured out that he shouldn't have done that? No,
because I actually also didn't figure it out until like 10 years later. Or like, let's say when I was studying, I was like, wait, I should have been the student here. And I also realized that there were students sitting around in hindsight, waiting for teeth to be pulled. Because when you're in dental school, at one point, you need to have a lot of teeth pulled before you can get examined. You kind of have to have I don't know what you say in English, like a list. Like, let's say you have to pull 20 of these, 20 of those. So I basically, as a civil servant, took their job. And I liked it. Like, it was fun. So I just thought, okay, I'll apply to it. And then, obviously, for me, during university, there was no purpose behind that dental school. I loved the job. I loved that tiny things. And I was very good with it. But something was just missing, which I realized after, that the missing bit for me was that we are also not just the craftsmen, we are doctors that can help patients really heal. And therefore, my studies, for me personally, as a skater, you can imagine my lifestyle growing up wasn't the best, especially in the 90s. There was lots of drinking involved, partying, fun. So it was fine that I crashed early, like was my own bad, but I had to dig my way out of it. And this is obviously what then sparked my interest for me personally. But then later on, I wanted to just give it back. So basically today I'm that doctor, I would say doctor, that I needed when I was 20 years old to help me recover my brain stuff and my whole holistic health. And yeah, someone I could trust, like a skater dude that is also a doctor, for example.
So skater dude also ended up in the industry that his dad was doing, which you probably had said many times out loud, I will never do that. But, that such is life sometimes. Now, you mentioned health issues that kind of caused you to start thinking about this, thinking about kind of health in a different perspective. What were your challenges? What were you experiencing?
Basically, I'm a heavily medicated kid in hindsight, because my dad is a dentist, my mom was a nurse. And obviously whatever I had when it comes to any sort of inflammation, throat issues that I had chronically, I would always get an antibiotic, everything you can imagine from the medical world, like a lot of, let's say just pharma industry stuff, medications. So I was just, growing up, I was just on and off a little bit of ill. I was always very athletic, very good, but it always threw me back all the time. So I didn't think about it. But then because of all the heavy drinking, all the partying, at one point I just crashed mentally. So I basically became depressed in retrospect. So let's say really from partying, the best dude ever, perfect energy, next day, very sad, crying. And I had to dig myself out of it because back then there was no information about it. The doctor would just tell me, okay, we don't know what you're having. Maybe you're depressed. Maybe you can have like a therapy to talk to or whatever. But I just wanted to become normal again. And literally no one was there to help. And there was no YouTube yet. There was no Dr. Google or anything or Instagram or any social media influence. It was just me being mentally ill and no one could help me. And it was all more like a pity mode. And you couldn't really talk about it 20 years ago. And it felt like shit. I either end it, which I'm not the person to, but I can imagine that thought process, or I find a solution. So I was looking into it. I realized, obviously, step one, if I drink on the weekends, I'll be depressed. So I had to reduce this, not 3-4 times a week of drinking, but maybe once. Still got a little bit sad on the next day. Then obviously, because of bodybuilding, fitness training, I changed my nutrition. I got interested in proteins and micronutrients and just building the body. I got interested very much in supplements very early, creatine, glutamine. And also at one point, actually after, like at the end of my university, I found one book that changed everything, which was called The Edge Effect. It's probably over there somewhere, by Eric Braverman. And what he is, I think he's a psychologist or even a psychiatrist. And he has a assessment. You just take that assessment and you only give answers true and false. And then in the first bit of it, you determine your neurotransmitter makeup, your genetic one in the first part. And in the second part, your deficiencies. And as I was very well read and studied when it comes to biochemistry and the precursors like tyrosine for dopamine, etc., I realized, oh, I'm a dopamine dominant person having a dopamine deficiency and a GABA deficiency. That seems to be easy to reverse. So I just engineered it by the knowledge I had with my nutrition. I bought tons of tyrosine and tryptophan and 5-HTP, like I macrodosed for only a week, and it changed. Like then it was really gone. Took me 3 years and tons of things to get there that I learned. But then from one day to another, I realized, oh, wow, I'm really responsible and able to change everything. And then if you get it, then I got addicted. Then I just wanted to have more, so to speak. Like if Chris would be here, we would always say more, we need more. So I got sucked into the whole functional medicine and I realized the dentistry, the amalgams, this is all detoxification. This is biochemistry. This is what I was doing for me personally. What was my passion, I could finally incorporate it for patients. Obviously, because it's never been done before, it's hard if you're a dentist and starting to tell with people about detoxification, how to remove amalgam safely, what is the right nutrition, which supplements do we need to take. But I did this already in residency, and there was a lot of problems with these patients. Some were even sick, and my boss told me, what are you doing? You're just a dentist. And there was times when I was sitting there, the students thought like, oh man, why are you doing this? You could just drill a hole here and fill it. Why are you helping these people? But then I had this calling in me that I need to find solutions. And yeah, I realized I needed to have a center of, like, let's say something that helps people holistically where I incorporate all this. And this is what we opened like 5 years later as my clinic, the DNA Health and Aesthetics in my hometown, actually, as the first center for biological dentistry and health optimization, at least in Europe, maybe even overall. And yeah, so it's going onwards. It's always ongoing learning. So this is what makes me strive on every level.
So what I heard there is one super bright person, right? Because you're a skater. Most skaters don't go, study dentistry and do well at it. You have this confluence of your first approach is actually driven aesthetically. Like you just don't want the dark fillings in their mouth. So it's kind of aesthetic. And then what you're going through actually in your personal life starts folding into this. Well, not only is it bad aesthetically, but it's actually bad toxically. Like these are strong things. And then you have other students going, well, just drill the hole and fill it. Like what are you doing? And I would argue that this is your parents, right? This is the nurse, your mom, the nurse, your dad, already the dentist, helping people. And that's ingrained in you. And you just took it to the next level. How do I help people even more? That's pretty a pretty compelling story for how you end up as a biological and holistic dentist. For the layperson, what is the difference from that the layperson might see as a biological holistic dentist versus maybe traditional dentistry?
Yeah, traditional dentistry, basically you train to repair teeth. It's the drill, fill, and bill, what people always say. So you have patients and you see your teeth as tiny biting instruments that need repair. You're basically a garage that fixes smiles and bites and take care of pain and aesthetics. That's basically it. And this is how you're trained. So I don't say anything bad against dentists. You have to have very skilled fingers, this tiny manual work. But it's not connected to the whole body. It's really kind of schizophrenic because you learn in university, in the morning you study physics or chemistry, and you learn you should never do different metals right next to each other because there will be a battery, which is bad. But then later in the evening, you're in university and you treat a patient and you place a gold filling right next to an amalgam one. You don't even think about it. So there's really a huge discrepancy. So I'm just filling knowledge gaps here. And the dentistry, you still need that repair, unfortunately, right now, because people still have tooth decay, gingivitis, periodontitis. Actually, tooth decay is chronic disease number 1, which is crazy. But our goal is to do that with materials that are biomaterials, that are biocompatible, that don't disrupt, they are not toxic, that don't disrupt your immune system or your nervous system. So biological dentistry 2.0, biodentistry, or however you want to call it, what we do is the overlap of high-tech dentistry with all that nice materials with functional medicine, seeing the body as a whole, but also using all sorts of health optimization tools in the clinic, from hyperbaric oxygen chambers to infrared saunas, intravenous therapies, nutritional advices, even micronutrients. I've developed a full bone healing protocol and various other protocols to help patients even before they see us, because most patients, you need to apply for appointments. And I would say at least 60 to 80% fly in from all over the world. It's very rare that someone from close by comes to us to visit us, because the concept we're doing is quite charming. In the health optimization week, so to speak, we get rid of all things that might cause an ongoing chronic inflammation or any sort of stress in your body. Yeah, and usually I ask my audience 3 questions to understand what oral interference is, or because most of the people, they only think about teeth as biting instruments, and you keep them clean by brushing, but it goes way beyond just brushing. And the oral interference, or the 3 health killers in your mouth, are usually the stuff that has been done through dental repair. So we look at this more differently. And the questions I ask is always, for example, for you, have you ever had metals in your mouth?
Yes, I have.
You have. Stand up, remain standing. So this is what I would ask the audience. And the second one is, have you ever had a root canal treatment?
In my case, no.
Yes, good. And the third question I ask is, did they remove your wisdom teeth?
No.
Perfect. So but you're still standing up. But usually if I ask that to a bigger audience, like 500 plus people, at the end, 90% stand, because they either had metals, root canals, or removed wisdom teeth, or all of it. So we fixed this all in 1 week, very minimal invasive, with stuff that is biomaterial. So for you, metals in the mouth there are still various issues for metals nowadays. They work for biting, you can bite on it, but you might have a battery, you might be allergic, you might have different ones. And there's always, the components for metals is always, it could be a toxin, which your body needs to detox. So more burden. Like for example, heavy metals, the main source of heavy metals is still the mercury filling. Second is your immune system. You can become allergic to all these metals. And if you're allergic to something, like for example, nickel, the dose is not important anymore. Toxicity, dose dependent, immune system, not dose dependent. So you can have an allergic reaction, or even build antibodies against these things. And third one, in this world where we have 3G, 4G, 5G, we're talking through the internet, you have an antenna in your mouth. So there's always 3 different challenges just for that one bit of metal in your mouth. And this is not something that you learn in dental school.
Yeah, that's the biological, that's the holistic side, where you're really kind of assessing it from not just the mouth, but actually the holistic perspective. I think that's awesome. By the way, recently had the metal taken out, which is just an interesting story, because I was going in to do Invisalign, and he just started working on me. I don't know if he had a conversation with my wife. He's a good friend of ours, and I trust him inherently. And like next thing I know, it's gone, and he's putting in new. I guess it's ceramic, but yeah, the metal is gone. I should ask him. I should be a little more involved in my dental health. All right. So talking about that, right? So my research into the impact of dental health, specifically on longevity, right? Because that's the topic of the summit, did show a very kind of close tie between tooth loss as a predictor of longevity. I have to think that tooth loss is not the only indicator of dental health. Talk about the other right? The other indicators of dental health and how they might impact longevity.
Yeah, so basically what we want to strive as much as possible to keep our cell as young as possible for as long as possible, right? So if there's any chronic inflammation in your body, this will definitely reduce that. And we are living in an epidemic of chronic disease. This is what we're living in. So the focus is always, how can we reduce that burden on the body? How can we get rid of all chronic inflammation? And I just alluded on it, like obviously the usual dental, let's say the normal dental diseases are tooth decay and gingivitis, which is bleeding gums, and periodontitis, which is the inflammation of your jawbone below the tissue, which lead to loose teeth. Like the sailors back in the day when they had no food and the vitamin C deficiency, they lost all their teeth, called scurvy. So those are the normal dental diseases that are usually chronic disease number one. And then the next thing that I've just talked about is the dental repair, because metals in itself can lead to chronic elevated cytokines, inflammation, chronic inflammation, which will definitely play on your longevity. The same as for root canals, which are chronic, which is basically dead tissue in your body, in your jawbone. And the teeth, maybe interesting for your audience, is not just the jawbone is not just your arm, it's not an extremity, it's an extension of your brain. So your eyes and your teeth are directly connected via brain nerve to your brain. So whatever you have when it comes to material or chronic inflammation or infections like different bugs, anaerobic bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites, all in your mouth, will be transferred through that nerve called trigeminus into the brainstem, and obviously causing hormonal imbalances, immune issues, chronic fight and flight, stress. And we know from literature that's clear that everything chronic depletes your nutrients, changes hormones, and plays on your longevity. You can probably also allude to more peroxides, changing cellular health, because it goes so deep. So for example, just mercury in itself, which is 50% of that silver filling, is the most toxic non-radioactive element known to man, intoxicating you a little bit on a daily basis. Mercury vapor goes into your cell without any protection. The only solution is that the cell dies. So imagine you have lots of it and lots of it and lots of it. Obviously, this will cause aging faster. And so the most important bit is basically to see that your mouth is not just, or your teeth are not just for biting. Those are little tiny organs directly connected through a brain nerve, through your autonomic nervous system, your blood supply, your lymph supply, with your whole body. And whatever is done there can lead to X, Y, Z, fill in the blank in terms of diseases. Like there's studies showing, for example, that if you have periodontitis, so the gum issues, that you are more prone to diabetes, and vice versa. If you have high diabetes on insulin resistance, you might have leaky gum. And leaky gum has also been shown that we find now oral pathogens in the brain causing microglia neuroinflammation by activating microglia. And also you find oral pathogens in the synovial fluid of your joints causing arthritis. So whatever chronic health issue you have, if you're already doing whatever you probably talk about in your summit, nutrition, lifestyle, taking the right supplements, going outside barefoot, grounding, nature, everything we talk about in health optimization, but you're still not superhuman, you're still aging too fast, you still have not a good sleep, then it's time to look for oral interference, namely metals, root canals, and so-called cavitations from removed teeth.
Hey, super quick break from the podcast. Hopefully you're loving it. This is a way you can support the podcast and take advantage of a great offer. We're offering 50% off of one of our MCT bottles. MCT is an amazing oil. Add the ESS 60 molecule to it. It's even more amazing. All you got to do is leave a review on iTunes, send us a notification that you've left that review. We'll get you a coupon code that'll get you 50% off of our MCT oil and free shipping. Back to the podcast.
Those are the three killers, right? And I've seen some of your talks and interviews, and you talk about those regularly. So what do you do, right? So one, okay, I had the amalgam removed, right? So I'm assuming that's one of the things that you do. But for somebody who's had a root canal or somebody who's had their wisdom teeth pulled, when they're visiting you, what's your approach? I'm sure it's some sort of assessment and then mitigation, but what does that look like?
So usually, like I said, we have a treatment plan up front. So I usually just need a panoramic X-ray, and we plan obviously metal-free, root canals off, ceramic implants, and then cavitations all in 1 week, so that you don't need to have 1,000 dental appointments, but just do it all in one. So if you have a root canal, what can I do now? Yeah, first of all, don't freak out. All the information I'm giving you here is just information. Yeah, so that okay, this is something that might cause issues chronically, ongoingly, because I have a dead body part sticking into my nerve system. So what we do is we take care of the root canal by taking it out very, very gently and placing an immediate implant. But the immediate implant is not titanium, is not a metal. 99.7% of all dentists place a metal implant. We place a ceramic implant, which is a healing stone and is qualified as a biomaterial ever since this year for the first time, and also guideline now. So ceramic implant is just a new root. So we take out a complete tooth, we clean everything. We obviously use ozone. We use everything that's possible. We even use PRP to fill up the socket and then give you a tooth right away. Obviously, your body needs to heal it. This will probably take about 3 to 4 months, but then you already have a tooth and you're fine. You're fine and gone. So basically pain-free, not a big issue, very, very minimal invasive, and just a charming solution. And I think this is something that, like I just said, if you go to your dentist, 99.7% will say it's not possible, but it is. So it's just also the next level for keeping your teeth. But obviously the future of everything is that you don't even need dental repair, but this takes a while. Right now, we need to repair what has been done.
Is it so you described in detail the root canal, right? So ozone, PRP. Do you do something similar with cavitation, or is there a different approach there?
So the surgical approach, when you're in the clinic, the surgical protocol is very similar because you basically have to get rid of the dead tissue. So cavitation is a chronic inflammation in the jawbone that usually happens after any sort of tooth extraction. If you're not very well prepared, your body just can't build tissue because it was catabolic, lack of nutrients, whatever. And then you have a cavitation is usually described as FDOJ, a fatty degenerative osteonecrotic jawbone, basically very nasty, fatty, inflamed bone. We have to get rid of this because this is dead tissue, like the root canal. So take this out, and then if it's clean, we activate your body to heal itself locally by using ozone to clean everything, because ozone in literature is quite clear. It's antiparasitic, it's antivirals, antifungals, antimicrobial. So kind of sterilizing the area, but also, as you know, maybe ozone is the miracle molecule, which also activates your own cells to produce more antioxidants like glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and also helps the mitochondria to just work better with oxygen by itself. So this is the next bit. We obviously draw blood to make PRP and then fill up any sort of bone wound or tissue wound with it and then close it so that your body is really locally perfectly supported. But also, before you even see us and before that surgery day, we support your whole body to become anabolic, to be anabolic. And anabolic just means your body is able to build tissue versus catabolic, which means your body breaks down tissue. So before, we ask for your vitamin D3 blood work and a couple of other things, and we teach you how to think in nutrients, how to get enough protein. For example, like our patients always have to have 2 grams per kilogram protein per day, which is probably 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight per day. So we go higher because it's healing mode. And then obviously vitamin D3 plays a crucial role in bone healing or tooth healing science. Vitamin D3 with his cofactors, magnesium, vitamin K2, as well as boron, zinc, and various other things are included in my bone healing protocol to really boost that healing capacity. Because bone healing and also teeth healing is quite slow. It's not that I do the surgery and then it's fine. The next 4 months is how long it takes. Like the tiny cells that build bone are called osteoblasts. And I always imagine them as like tiny workers that use brick by brick by brick. It's only 1 millimeter per month. And if your body is not in a nutrient surplus, like a bodybuilder, you won't heal it. And then you end up having another cavitation or the implant isn't stable. And so it's really important what the patient does for the next 4 months. And this is one of my specialties, probably from bodybuilding and all the stuff I did for myself personally on how to use nutrition and micronutrients to really support the body. And then also in this case, the osseointegration and ossification of implants and bone, which I also obviously teach to dentists.
So I've never had any sort of nutrition conversation with any dentist that I've ever visited. So that's exciting, actually. And I have to think that you're from what you've described, your typical client, you're doing a little bit more work than they would have had done if they just went to a traditional dentist, because that's why they're in the state that they're in, right? And that it wouldn't surprise me that they're also healing faster because one, you do some prep. I saw an interview, I think with is it Jim Quick? And he was talking about it was a week-long process for preparation, and you described the same thing. And like, you just don't hear this when you're talking about traditional dentists. I think that's pretty awesome. There's one thing that, a friend of mine is a dentist moving kind of in the direction, certainly, of holistic dentistry. And she shared this with me. And so I'm aware what she shared with me is that there's different types, right? So we're very used to having fluoride in our water for our teeth and fluoride in our toothpaste for our teeth. But she presented to me that the fluoride in the original study that showed benefit to teeth was a different fluoride than they actually use now. Is that true? And where does fluoride sit in kind of your space?
I haven't heard this one because fluoride is actually fluoride. But in biological dentistry, we see the mouth as the gateway to your system. It's the entrance to your whole gut system, basically the entrance hall. And we don't want to, and there's a whole ecosystem living there. It's called oral microbiome. So it's the most diversified microbiome in your body and the second largest compared to the gut. And if you take toxins and chemicals like fluoride, you're just nuking your oral microbiome on a daily basis. So we don't use any chemicals because tooth decay is not a chemical deficiency. It's more like a deficiency of various nutrients and a sign of a poor lifestyle and a more, let's say, Western standard diet lifestyle, which leads to soft teeth. But coming from a dentist point of view, just a traditional dentist point of view, why are we doing this? So I'm obviously living in a bubble, and my patients are very well prepared 2-4 weeks prior. They know exactly, they're looking for this. But to be honest, the general patient is more like Homer Simpson. They don't know that this exists. The only thing that most people know about dental health is I need to brush my teeth. That's it. Oral hygiene. And obviously fluoride. And therefore, we see patients with tooth decay. We see them with gingivitis, bleeding gums. And the Band-Aid that we designed in dental school that no one questions actually is toothpaste with fluoride. It is chemical mouthwash. Yeah. And it is flossing, which might be okay at the beginning. But the goal should always be to have a dentist who leads you towards an optimal lifestyle and teaches you what is the next step after brushing? Because let's face it, we're getting way, way better with oral hygiene, appointments, periodontitis, and professional cleanings. But the oral health is declining. So oral hygiene theory doesn't really add up. So it must be something else. So if you have patients that you teach, okay, after brushing, which is still important, teeth need nutrients, kind of like a plant. A plant needs watering, right? If you don't water the plant, it dies. If you don't give the tooth the right nutrient, it dies. It just gets weaker and softer. And you can see in one glance, bad teeth, bad overall health. It's as simple as that. So you can reverse it. Not if you have the biggest cavities and they're going to the nerve, but if you start with a little bit of tooth decay and you get the right dentist, he won't use the drill initially. He tells you, hey, you have a little bit of tooth decay in your enamel. This is the hard part of your tooth. We don't want to drill it, but it's a sign of a deficiency. So if you or your kids out there suffer from tooth decay, I would initially go and test my vitamin D3 blood work because it's probably on the low side. And I would secondly check for food intolerances, especially gluten-containing stuff, because it's quite clear that gluten-containing grains or grains in general are containing phytates and chelate minerals that are critical, but also lead to an ongoing chronic inflammation called leaky gut, which also happens in the mouth. If you have bleeding gums, it's leaky gum. And therefore, your body just doesn't get the minerals. And generally speaking, in all that stressful world, we are anyways mineral depleted. So there's a double whammy. So if you just change that nutrition to a more holistic one, or let's say more whole foods based ancestral living style of food, instead of eating all the processed foods, you support your body in its healing capacities. And then when the macronutrients are fine and the general, let's say, quality of the food is what we're supposed to eat, then you look into micronutrients and fine tune those. And then usually it reverses itself. Or you need your repair, and then after the repair, at least for my patients, I don't want to see you again as a dental patient. You can come in for health optimization no matter what, but if you didn't understand, okay, now it's my responsibility to keep all my healthy teeth healthy, hard as stone, by feeding me the right stuff, then I didn't do a good job and you didn't listen or whatever, but this is the goal. Like, you don't need to be coming back for another hole. The hole just doesn't happen overnight, the cavity. You don't have to be afraid of a dentist because you might get a drilling and need a filling. You have this in your hands, but you didn't get the tools for it. You only know brushing, maybe mouthwash, maybe flossing. But that won't help the teeth. There are studies showing, and even Weston Price showed it, it's more in the nutrition because teeth get strong from within, through the blood, through the nutrients you have in your blood, but also through the saliva. And if you keep that in check, you get hard teeth, hard as stone. Teeth are actually hard as granite if they're healthy. This is how nature has it designed. Unfortunately, our life is a little bit in a declining state with all the stuff we're eating and how convenient we became. We got a bit soft, so does our teeth. They're just also soft now.
They are a reflection of us, right? You know, something that you were just saying there reminded me. I remember being at the dentist probably around 14, and he stuck his probe into one of my back teeth, and it was a little sticky, right, indicating of some decay, right, and said, "There's some. We don't really need to treat it." And I asked, like, "Well, can I brush this? Like, can I make it go away?" And their response was an unequivocal no. But I can tell you, I never got that filled. And the next time they were in that same spot, it wasn't sticky. So I think probably something changed in my diet or something else changed. That's what I think you would argue. But in my head, I brushed it away. But I think it's just going to what you're saying. Like the decay isn't just your teeth and lack of brushing, that there's other components that are other factors that are going into this.
It's just showing an overall health decay. The decay is just, the mouth is just a tiny ecosystem in your big ecosystem. It's like in a hotel. This is the entrance hall. If that already is shitty, you know the whole hotel is shitty.
Yeah.
So the same thing here. Like super simple. Bad oral health, bad oral health. The problem here is a little bit that the dentist only focuses on repair, and you can make an amazing look with shitty foundation. You don't even see it. But you underneath, if you look at it looks beautiful on top. But if you make an X-ray, you look like Terminator. So
yeah.
You don't even know. And as a patient, you don't even care because you don't have pain. And the dentist only asks for pain. But chronic disease is not painful. So pain is a weak indicator.
All right. So we have kind of walked through a difference from a traditional dental visit to, we'll call it the DOM experience, right? Where you've been given a protocol leading up into it. You have a protocol. You have an experience in the middle of it. Talk about some benefits that people are getting, and this applies, I think, to other dentists who are doing holistic and biological dentistry. But talk about some of the benefits that you've seen maybe you were expecting, but some of your customers weren't expecting.
Yeah, so this is still to this day the fulfilling part of the whole journey for me, because obviously I love that tiny stuff and achieving a nice, beautiful outcome. But if the patient tells me I've seen 29 doctors before and they couldn't solve my problem, but overnight I have 80% less of the issues, could be depression, could be mental health things, could be skin issues is a big one, thyroid issues is like a usual suspect. Fatigue is a usual suspect. People with fatigue that already on the chair during surgery realize, oh, wow, something is changing. I feel that I can breathe deeper, or they go into parasympathetic mode and yin comes in, or the joint issues oftentimes resolve already during that process because your body is so fast in healing. You take out the splinter, your body heals itself because it's ongoing. So whatever you come up with from neurological diseases, Parkinson, MS, Alzheimer's, there's always a component, like I said before. If you fixed everything else already and it's not good, maybe look into your mouth. But this is quite typical that something on that journey changes because it's ongoing chronic stress in your system that you cannot hack your way around. I'll take it out. We use stuff that helps. And I'm actually not healing you. I'm helping your body heal itself. It's not about me. Obviously, I know how to do this, but your body is so fascinating. As soon as you take out that stressor, it's like an onion. You peel away a couple of layers and then something comes up. Like, for example, if you look at just the fascia and the whole body system of posturology, the fascia from that muscle here goes until your toe. So sometimes you just have massive head and neck pain. You do something and it's gone. You can move your head faster if I take out that root canal. Or people tell me that they finally see a little bit more clear and they had a bit more brain fog. It's gone now. So sometimes that even happens within the first day. So it's really fascinating, but it's very individual. You cannot predict what happens. So therefore, I don't even predict anything or guarantee anything. It's just, you have to understand the concept. What is the most unnatural part in your body? If you had dental repair, it's your mouth. You have so much different material in there sticking in your nervous system that can change everything. If you take that out and let it heal and place something that is not interfering, there will be changes. And mostly you don't feel it here. I'm working on root causes, not on symptoms. Therefore, I always tell my patients on the chair, don't focus on your mouth. Let me take care of this. Breathe deep, do only meditation, breathe in and feel your body and look at yourself like you would see yourself from the outside. Like you have a body. Experience what's happening and feel. No, don't think, just feel. And within 50 minutes, when the initial stress and fear of the dentist is gone, they're very relaxed. And they can all tell you, there's tons of testimonials and people flying in, like I said, from all over the world. And some even are sharing it or writing reviews or even want me to share it on Instagram. I have to actually do this a bit more forceful because, as you know, people that are happy and satisfied usually don't write a review or don't say anything. So I have to be a bit on there. Patients told me I should ask for more. So I do that now. I made it. I have that in my mind now that I think about it. Please do this. And maybe if you want to share, you're on the same mission, because when we heal ourselves, we heal the many. And this is what I want to do. I want to teach as many people as possible out there. Like we said at the beginning, health coaches, dentists, it doesn't even matter if you're dentist, doctor, whatever, health coach. I believe everyone should be able to diagnose a panoramic x-ray or realize I have to at least ask, have you had dental repair done, metal root canal, cavitations, to realize that optimal health starts in the mouth. And this is the part, even though it's the centerpiece of your head and where everything starts, is the neglected part in medicine and in whole health optimization. Therefore, I'm there to spread the word.
All right. So we're coming kind of to a close, and there's a couple questions that I like to ask. So one of them, as a longevity summit, do you have a target age that you want to live to?
Me personally?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a challenger. Like, obviously I want to live as long as possible, but minimum is 120. But I believe that's easy possible. I don't know if 180 is possible, but I can imagine everything. So obviously my life is designed that way now. I've been to the dark side, so to speak, when I was early and young, and know how it feels if you're on the other side. If you say, this is really when you realize, oh shit, if I lose my health, I'm actually fried. That's it. Like, you only have one health, one body. If that's gone, that's it. You can have whatever wish. I have patients. They always have like only one wish. Please, 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 can I be healthy again? And my idea is, don't even get sick. What we do is optimizing everything before you even get there. So even if you have no problem at all, still get it checked and maybe invest in optimal health. And I think this is the key to longevity, like, is the daily consistency in the things that give you a little bit of dividend towards optimal health. Like, if you do, like I teach my kids, if you do 50 push-ups every single morning, how much are those when you're 15 years old? Like, the same happens to, if your food is on point every single day, if you have your nutrients, if you have that stuff gone, imagine how old you can be. There is no need that you have to be sick with 60 years old with any sort of chronic disease. And when you get that chronic disease, it's usually too late. Disease is a concept. So I think diagnoses are still increasing. I think we have about 19,000 different diagnoses in medicine. And you only have to learn by heart because they make no sense. For me, I don't even care what the label of disease is you're having. I'm only interested in how to reverse it and how to help your body to heal itself. And it's a journey. It's not from here to there. It took you 30 years to get there. It takes you a bit to go back. But if you take responsibility, and in this world right now, like 20 years later, you can find people. You don't have to do everything perfect from day one, but you could tomorrow start with changing your nutrition, or looking into blood work, or maybe have a biological dentist examine an x-ray. There's so many possibilities. And therefore, I love to give podcasts and interviews for these summit and congresses, because I think this is how we reach the many and change their lives. Like, I would have loved to have it 20 years ago. I'm happy now that I had to go through it, because otherwise I probably would have been not so passionate about it. But if I can help people not have it, it's good too.
Yeah, that's exactly why. Well, first, selfishly, so I can interview cool people like you and get cutting edge information, and then second, very altruistically, like, how can I get this information that I'm able to collect to as many people as possible? All right. So what are 2 to 3 protocols, habits, mindsets, let's call them shortcuts, because everybody likes shortcuts, to longevity and long health span that you can share?
So one that probably everyone is sharing is that you have to optimize your sleep. And this is actually quite simple to do with a few structures. And another one, obviously, that we just talked about is oral health care is quite important for longevity. So what I would do is, you can find this in my Instagram link, but there's a PDF on how to use the bulletproof oral health care strategy on a daily basis. Just get rid of all toxins that you put into your mouth. I think this is not a lot if you look at the fluoride toothpaste, but you do it every single day, twice. So it will compound to a big thing that you just don't need. So invest in a good, clean toothpaste that you would eat. Then
is there a toothpaste that you would recommend?
I cannot really recommend any brands, because it's an international audience and I just don't know. The only thing on my Instagram you always see, and in that PDF you see if you can read what should not be in the toothpaste. But generally speaking, find one that is without all nasty chemicals that you would eat. It should be a supplement. Second is, instead of chemical mouthwashes, use coconut oil pulling or oil pulling. It's super simple. Everyone has an extra native coconut oil at home. If not, buy it. It costs probably $5. Take a teaspoon of coconut oil in your mouth, especially in the winter months now, for 5 minutes to 15 minutes. Swish it around, spit it out. That's it. Spit it in the bin, not in the sink. That's it. It will help your oral microbiome. It's antibacterial, antiviral. It helps your teeth, helps your saliva, helps your gums. And you cannot do anything wrong with it. Why not use it? Would be rude not to. That's what Chris would say. And then number 3 is you use a tongue scraper, which will also help with bad breath. It's just tongue scrapers. Usually the good ones are from copper, made out of copper. Really, it's a scraper. You just scrape the bottom of your tongue every single morning. There's a lot of food debris and toxins. You take that out, and your immune system and your nervous system will be initially better. So I think oral health, having a strong daily routine, again, the key is consistency, is a tool to longevity, as well as obviously all the other things, nutrition, all the things, the little tiny little steps, a little bit of movement every day, a little bit of good food, only good food, skipping the bad stuff. So I could go on forever, but it's just tiny things. If you implement them into a daily structure, the compounding effect of it, when you do that consistency, I think this is what will give you a long life. And also, obviously, what's really important is your community, hanging with great guys, giving good energy, laughing. Community is a huge part. So having friends, sharing it with others, helping people, I think, and laughing and having just a good time on this planet, I think this is a big one for longevity.
And just to be clear, because I think you mentioned tongue scraping on the bottom of the tongue. It's really the back of the tongue, right? It's the top.
Yeah.
Is there anything? Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
We in Germany, I don't know what it is in English, like where the tongue comes out of your throat.
Way in the back. Yeah.
Way in the back. When you usually do this, like this is where you do it, like where the gag reflex comes in.
All right, Dr. Dom, how can people get a hold of you?
The easiest way to find me is actually on Instagram, Dr. Dome1. You probably have it in the show notes. It's D-O-M-E and the 1. You will find there are a couple of links in the bio. One leads you to that PDF. One leads you to a tab bio where you find my clinic, the DNA Health and Aesthetics in Tübingen, where you find my book, podcast, YouTube, everything we do in a one-stop shop approach, and go from there.
Awesome. What in the near future are you excited about?
In the near future, actually, I'm excited about to go to a vacation in 1 week's time to Dubai with my family. Because in between these, when I work, because I'm probably so passionate, I work so much that it's getting a lot. So I love to have these little tiny breaks. But I'm also excited just for that mission here right now. I'm really excited to hop on bigger podcasts, to like just get more reach for the people, because I'm not doing this for me, not at all. I just want to help the many getting to optimal health. And I think you deserve it out there. And there is the information. Now it's time to consolidate with all the other speakers, and I call them lone wolves, to form a wolf pack of health avengers that work together in co-elevation style and collaboration style instead of competition. Because then I believe we can really change something. And this is what I'm most excited about, the mission.
Helping people one mouth lobby at a time.
Exactly.
You used lobby as a great example. Dr. Dom, thank you so much. And I look forward to staying in contact with you.
Definitely. Thanks, Chris, for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Live Beyond the Norms podcast. Make sure to subscribe and follow. Also, make sure not to be that guy, the guy sharing this podcast with people who are not interested in living beyond the norms. If you would like to learn more about the ESS60 molecule, the molecule responsible for the single longest longevity experimental result on mammals in history, a full 90% extension of life, visit myvitalc.com. That's myvitalc as in carbon.com.